Hello and welcome back to Unwinding Minds. If we've not met before, hello, I'm Rosie. I'm a counsellor who works in the UK and specialises in disability, chronic illness and neurodiversity. And I've put together videos on a huge range of mental health topics surrounding those things, alongside my work in private practice as a counsellor. These videos aren't a substitute for counselling, it's worth noting that, and they only act as an additional support. Today, I want to dive into a topic that comes up a lot in my conversations with clients. This is episode 2 in our series about connection. In the last video, we explored what makes connection so valuable, and today we're approaching the topic from the point of view of someone who wants to build connection from inside their home. What does it mean to be connected to others when you are not able to leave your home or not able to do so regularly? There are some really challenging aspects of physical health conditions and mental health conditions that can make it impossible and or very difficult for you to leave your home. For me, there are physical limitations when it comes to my energy, for example. Some days I might be okay on foot for short periods, and on others I might rely on a mobility aid. On the worst, I don't leave the house. I think some people will be surprised by how common that last category of days can be for someone who's dealing with a chronic condition. And one thing I'd love to explore today is the ways that you can seek connection with other people when you're in the position of not being able, for a myriad of reasons perhaps, to go outside or go outside regularly. Whether you live with chronic illness, disability, or any condition that keeps you at home, you're not alone in the isolation that it can create. Connecting with others from your home has never been easier in theory, but many people often express to me how isolated and lonely they feel. I don't usually dive too much into my own experiences on this channel because of parasocial relationships or distractive relationships with clients, and that's not helpful in the long run at all. But I will be talking a little bit about some parts of my personal process today because they're relevant. I can only speak from my own experience that when faced with big changes in my health, connection to others started to dry up. Not only did I feel that I had changed tremendously, but others no longer really understood how to support me. Some people even became really uncomfortable when they were in my company. That discomfort shown through as nervous jokes or not asking me questions when I can clearly see that they want to because they're not comfortable. They're worried about offending me or upsetting me. Or even sometimes there's irritation when I can't keep up in physical activities. Small moments in these experiences have made me want to withdraw and to take up less space, socialize less. But the truth is, connection's a basic human need. Pulling away from something because it's uncomfortable is not going to lead to healing of the discomfort. It's avoidance of the conflict internally, and it's preventing the self from growing. As I said, connection's a basic human need, and avoiding the discomfort of change does not get rid of the change itself. The people around you do seem to be the most natural option when thinking about connection, but doesn't mean it's the most straightforward. If you become ill or disabled as an adult, people who've known you for a long time, well, they've gotten used to you behaving in certain ways and your needs being quite different. That change in circumstances means learning some ways of advocating for your own needs, expressing new limitations and boundaries, and ultimately, it is going to be very hard for some relationships to hold the same level of comfort that they did before. That change in circumstances means learning some ways of advocating for your own needs, expressing new limitations and boundaries, and ultimately, it is going to be very hard for most relationships to hold the same level of comfort for you. The truly remarkable people in your life will be able to see that the changes to your health do not make you less valuable, less deserving, more inconvenient, or even less of yourself. How you feel might have changed. How you behave may have also had to change. But even with changes like this, you're still yourself and very much deserving of love and support. Difficult and uncomfortable conversations might need to take place. I do usually recommend having some kind of mental health support when you're trying to navigate this, because it's not usually very easy for the chronically ill to navigate for their needs, especially when it's new and right off the bat. That's because you yourself are still working through the changes, telling others that they are walking too fast, that you won't be able to respond to them on certain days if your symptoms are bad, establishing new boundaries. It's all valuable and a means of connecting better with our friends, but that doesn't make it easy. If this is resonating with you, I've got more videos diving deeper into so much around chronic health, ADHD, tools and support, so don't forget to check those out too. And if you're ready for more personalised help, head to my website. You can learn more about working one-on-one with me there. And you can also find some free resources on there. There's a phrase that I love and that I often use to support clients in counselling. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. It's not the most friendly of wording, I do appreciate that, but I sometimes think that intelligence and smarts can be the most meaningful barrier. Often, high intelligence, overthinking a situation, can prevent you from taking action to resolve something. The simple solutions are often ignored or dismissed as something that can't work for me, because they're too straightforward. So we should try to consider first the most straightforward choices we can make to improve our relationships and quality of life. Like open conversations with the people around us, for example. I personally did not feel at all prepared for my contact with people to go almost exclusively in person to almost exclusively by message or online. I've always been a person who really values quality time, hanging out in a cafe or playing video games or cooking. I love to cook people dinner. I love those things over messaging, and that's now shifted for me personally. And I didn't even know where to begin when my illnesses started to take up increasing amounts of space and time in my life. Almost all of my friendships decayed when I was no longer able to show up in the same way I had before. When I tried to find online forums for those with chronic illness, I struggled. Most of the groups online are aimed at specific conditions, and prior to diagnosis I felt stuck in a place in the middle, knowing that I needed a place to go to, but not having anywhere to turn. Friendships that had heavily relied on my active or constant contribution dried up, and those instances left me feeling very unseen in my health journey. And look, this is far from a unique experience. It's actually the most common experience when you become chronically ill. Worse still, the internal ableism one experiences, well, it led me to feel deficient for not engaging in things that I used to with others. Can I tell you a secret? It sometimes still does occasionally. And it's okay if you're struggling not to compare your experiences now with your experiences then. I think that's just a part of grieving, isn't it? It's taken a long time to get a different perspective on my limited interaction with the world, but something that shifted more recently that I would love to share cautiously. It's natural, I think, to be really focused on all of the things you can't do and all of the things that other people can still do around you, and to feel a sense in your life of it not being what you want. Part of me recently realized that actually that's okay. Life has a habit of not giving us exactly what we want. How many people walk this earth dreaming big dreams who never have the opportunity to do exactly what they want to? I was talking to my partner about this a while ago, that if I were born 200 years ago, I would almost certainly be dead before I was 30. If I weren't dead, I would be languishing in a bed with basically nothing to distract me, no books or movies. It put some things into perspective for me to think like that. Yeah, actually, there's never been a better time to be a human being who can't leave the home. Now, did this miraculously cure me of the feeling of FOMO or the grief of losing out on those experiences? No, it obviously didn't. There isn't a silver lining, And it didn't come from a place of needing it to stop feeling bad. It's just the shift. It put me more in touch with where I was, more grateful for the things that I do have. I reached the conclusion that life doesn't have to be all of the things that you wanted it to be in order to be fulfilling and meaningful. And that it's actually okay if you don't fulfill all of your desires in life or do things in the way that you were thinking they would be done. It's also okay if they don't move on the timeline that you planned them to. Well, that happens in healthy people, people without illness, people without disability. It's okay to be disappointed because comparison is the thief of joy. And you may not have realised until it was a bit late that you had expectations of what your life was going to be. The sort of things that give you joy or fulfillment naturally change with time and growth. Illness means finding new ways of experiencing fulfillment. Connection, externally that is, might have changed the way that having fulfilling relationships looks for you, but that doesn't mean that it's gone or gone forever. It means finding new ways to connect is now a major priority in your life. I appreciate that this has gotten very esoteric, but I do want to cover practical steps to connection as well. Online connection, I know, is not perfect, but it is powerful. And it's more or less accessible for everybody. Some options include apps like Spoonie, or Discord servers, or Reddit forums and communities. There are also online book clubs and hobby groups and forums that are reliant on your interests. There are also things to consider like befriending services, such as those offered by Dewis or Community Care and Wales Service. Obviously, I am based in Wales, so I am suggesting things that are based in Wales, but there may be resources that are more locally available to you. There's also Age UK if you're looking for a befriending service as well. Meetup and Eventbrite also list virtual events too, and the benefit of these is that you can find groups who have shared interests with you, and that's a really important part of creating connection. If you're in Wales, the community connectors are another great way to find support and group activities, and I would strongly recommend reaching out to them. There are condition-specific support groups as well, although that can be difficult to navigate before you have a formal diagnosis, so that's worth bearing in mind. The connection that comes with being in the same boat is massive though, so these groups are highly supportive and I would suggest going along to them, at least giving it a try if you've not thought about doing so already. If you're not sure what you're looking for, start by identifying a hobby or interest, even if it's something you've had to adapt, that you may still be able to find a way to engage with. In fact, where I live, there is a bowling group for the partially sighted. There may be examples similar to that wherever you live, and it just takes a little bit of digging sometimes to find groups that will work for you and your body. There are sports clubs designed for people with disabilities. You can look at the Disability Sport Wales website to find different groups. If you are located in Wales, you may not be. I appreciate that this is an online international platform, so that may not be relevant to you. But my point here is you can look online, you can find places, it's available to you, but it's about making the choice to do that. I strongly urge you to Google your local resources though, because there might already be something available to you. I would be remiss not to plug my own thing here, the upcoming Chronic Health Club. The Chronic Health Club is an environment for the chronically ill or disabled. This is an opportunity for you to meet new people and socialise, where we'll offer ideas for self-care and support, and just generally have a good time. You can take a look in my socials if you'd like to learn a bit more. It's in the description and my profile. Anyone who's struggling with their health can join, whether you have a diagnosis or not, so you're welcome to join us. I'm going to put together a written resource that you can find on the website to find some different online groups and organisations that you can join as well. So if you are interested, just take a look on the website. Where possible, I will try and point to free things, but a few groups may involve a membership fee or a system of payment. I will try to make sure that they're available across the country to make sure that people feel like they've got plenty of options to meet with other people. And if I've got time, I'll add some things for American audience members as well. There are many challenges when it comes to being ill, and I don't share any of these things to add pressure to you. You do not have to. You do not have to connect with other people, because sometimes you do not want to connect with other people, and that's perfectly valid. You might be feeling alone and wanting to be alone, to really reflect on your experiences right now in the quiet. Ultimately, I want you to know that connection is possible, even when it looks very different from what you expected. And if you're not ready, that's okay too. Sometimes you need time alone before you can invest in time with others. Healing doesn't happen on anyone else's schedule, so when you are ready, the options are there. If this episode has resonated with you, please take a second to like it, to subscribe to the channel, or share it with someone who might need to hear this message as well. You never really know, you might make a huge difference in their life as well. I make a lot of videos on this channel about chronic illness, disability, neurodivergence, and mental health. I am always very curious to hear what people most want to see more of. So if you have any thoughts, you can pop them in the comments section below. And do check the description on my profile if you're interested in working with me on a one-to-one basis around the issues we talked about in this video, as I do offer private counselling sessions. Thank you so much for watching, and take really good care.